My name is Raoul Birnbaum. My field is Buddhist studies, especially dealing with China. My home base is the Department of History of Art and Visual Culture. We call it HAVOC. It's a very peaceful department. So I've taught in many universities. I came here to Santa Cruz in 1991, so I've been here for 24 years, I think. But I began teaching in 1973. And so that's almost 2 decades of teaching on the East Coast in private universities mainly, super elite, super competitive types of universities. And these were, as teaching at UCSC has been terrific, those experiences were terrific too. So what experiences have influenced me? My students. Working with students, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, really paying attention to that and continually shifting in order to get a sense of how I can effectively work with the students who are directly in front of me. Each group is different. Each school is different, but each group is different. In the time when I was a grad student, we never, ever had anybody talk about teaching. When I got my PhD, one of my teachers gave me this book, The Art of Teaching by Gilbert Hyatt. And I still have it. It cost $1.95 then, so it gives you a sense of how old this book is. It's very old-fashioned, but it speaks to principles, and it's still very useful. So this was the only preparation I had. Plus, observing professors who were very good-natured and incredibly knowledgeable and did not themselves in particular have teaching skills. One way in which my teaching has changed is by observing colleagues and finding out who is known to be a really good teacher and going to watch them and seeing, well, in what ways are they good, in what ways are they bad? Is there anything I can learn from them that I can use myself? I found observing a number of people who are terrific in a large lecture hall, what I could see, among other things, is they fill the room with their personality. And these people tend to have very outgoing personalities. I don't know how I appear in this video, but I tend not to have a big personality. And so that's a kind of deliberate magnification in the lecture room. So I understood that one has to assess one's personality as a teacher and go with one's strengths and see how one could adjust a little bit in order to work with students. As I started off, I was pretty young. I was in the same age range as many of my students. Some were a good bit older than me. We shared a common set of reference. We listened to the same music, watched the same TV shows, went to the same movies, used the same slang, had the same gestures, and we understood each other easily. As time goes on, you get some skills. One hopes you hold enthusiasm, but there's generational difference. The cultural references no longer work. The music is probably different music. The slang becomes different, and it's disconcerting at first, and then it becomes the natural state of things. This has influenced me a lot, and it's an obstacle, it's a pleasure, it's an influence, it's a struggle, trying to understand how my students now think. They're 40 plus years younger than me. How do they think? What are their values? What do they want to learn? What do I want to tell them that they can hear What do I want to tell them that they really can't hear? That I have to figure out how they could hear? Long ago, I came into the lecture room with a lot of notes. And now I come in with 3 sentences, 4 sentences, 5 sentences for an hour and 3/4 class. I spend a few hours thinking about the lecture, which is different from writing a lecture. And then I start talking. I have a plan. I expect something to happen in that hour and 3/4, and I'm watching the students the whole time. If it seems they don't understand, I'll try a different angle for the same point. If they get it, I go on. If they really get it, I'll go deeper until they get lost. If they get bored, if I knew how to tell jokes, I'd tell a joke. But I don't, so I'll try to do something amusing and distract them. I see a couple of problems to my view, or a couple of distinctive qualities to my view that need to be addressed, that did not need to be addressed earlier in my career. And one is a preference for, I don't want to call it sound bites, but smaller amounts of material that are very carefully structured that they can master. There's a certain unease or lack of facility with putting the whole thing together. I've noticed in recent years my students have been terrific at mastering sections, and when I say, how does it all fit together, they look at me. And so I've been working with them on that, doing more repetition and more explanation again and again within a class, and then within a week, and then within 2 or 3 weeks, so that they're getting a sense of how everything fits together. There's an economic barrier. A lot of students have multiple jobs. That much time spent working for economic survival is time spent away from studying. The tuition gets higher, the pressure is put on the students. It causes them to think about their education in a way that's very foreign to me. This is their time when I would like to see their imagination opened up. Give them a chance, students, young people, or older people coming back to school, a chance to really dream and not feel constrained by very matter-of-fact economic needs that are pressing on them at this moment. These are serious barriers. The other very particular thing that I'm seeing is a bit more restlessness. And for whatever reason, a bit more restlessness. And so I've begun to try to do, in a big class, more small group exercises. It breaks up the time and gives shy students a chance to have a voice just among their peers, not in front of the whole class. And just to get students out of their seats for a few minutes, 15 minutes or longer, and give them a sense that they're actively part of what's going on rather than simply being passive.